The car we're about to see today is very special because it started my channel. Back in lockdown, my business was forced to close, and I was approached by my brother-in-law Les to follow the conversion of his 1975 Triumph Stag. He's owned this since his 21st birthday, but like all projects, it has its drama, its frustrations, its anticipations. But today we can finally reveal this labour of love. So the question is, has this been a triumph for the Stag? Let's find out. Les, you there?
Oh, Adam, how you doing?
Yeah, good, yeah. Listen, we thought this day was never going to come, didn't we?
4 years.
Yeah.
4 years it's been. In this very barn we started this.
Yeah, yeah, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So the car is under this cover, but before we reveal the car, everyone wants to see that. Let's go right back to the very beginning and talk about, you've owned this car since you were 21, so talk about that. Tell us about it.
So when late 70s, dare I say, early 80s, I was into windsurfing, which was a relatively new sport at that time. And so I wanted a soft top car that could take roof rails for a windsurfer. And that got me down to two vehicles, a Lotus Elan Plus 2 and the Triumph Stag. The Triumph Stag has a metal hardtop roof that clamps down, of course, and so putting rails on that was the thing that sold it in the end.
Yeah. Now, obviously, it was in your barn for a while, your garage, and then you worked away and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But when you came back to it, you decided, before you restore it, you decided, I'm going to convert it to electric. Why electric conversion?
Well, two reasons really. What is probably the lesser reason is I'm in the EV business, so I have the people around me, the skills to be able to do that. But the second and more important reason is I've always looked at legacy. I've looked at, how do I hand this on to future generations? And I've got two sons. I'd love to hand the car on to them. And the truth is, they don't ever lift the bonnet on a car. They don't know anything about cars really. They love the car, but not mechanically. And so I wanted to have something that could be used in the future. For me, it's important that a car is on the road, a classic car is on the road, and is not a museum piece. That isn't my bag in terms of just leaving it in a garage and giving it a polish every now and again. I want to use it, and the electric conversion allowed me to do that. And
to be fair, this has been going on for a while, hasn't it, over the years?
I mean, from the day I bought this, and this was 5 years old when I bought it. And there were people at that point putting Rover V8s, Ford V6s. They all went into there. The original engine wasn't the most reliable thing. I mean, they've sorted out the problems now, so that's good. So conversions have always gone on, particularly on the Stag. And this is just another conversion. It's, why did people put that V8 in there? Well, they done because it was a reliable engine. They felt that it would let them use the car. I put electric in it basically for the same reason. It lets me use the car, and I know where the fuel's coming from in the future.
So over the last 4 years, what do you think is the one thing you've learned from this project?
I think any restoration of a vehicle of this age, and if you want to do a quality restoration, it's about resilience. This barn is littered with projects that have got sort of 40, 50, 60% of the way there and never make it. And that comes down to a couple of things. People run out of energy and enthusiasm for it, and they do run out of money for it as well. So that's another issue.
Well, listen, it's time to reveal the car, but before we do that, let us know about your projects, whether they be conversions or just restoration projects. You convert an engine, or you're doing something like this. Let us know what your number one tip is for someone who's starting out. What is your best advice for doing a conversion or a restoration? Please leave your messages in the comments below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. We really appreciate that. Right, Les, let's get this cover off. Wow. Well, it's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, really pleased.
You must be very pleased with this.
I am with it.
And this has been a team effort, right?
Absolutely. You can't do, or at least I can't do this sort of thing without good people around you, from classic and sports cars, Essex, up, Jason up in Braintree, done a fantastic job on the body. Auto Lounge, Gary Brown's in West London on the interior, and Eco Classics, of course, here. All people that, without that team, it wouldn't be at this level that it is.
So let's talk about what the car has now got that it didn't have before. Let's start with the obvious, which is no engine.
So we've got a 120 kilowatt motor in here. We've got 2 battery packs, one at the back and front. Apart from that, the whole point of this is very little. The car, it would be very difficult to see that it's had any sort of conversion from the exterior. It's got LED lighting and some of the things like that, but you can do that on any classic car, and that makes sense to take the strain off the loom and that type of thing.
What can it do? What speed can it do? That type of thing.
Well, it's actually has a lower top end than original.
Right.
So I think the Stag was 112 mile an hour. I'm not sure you want to be doing 112 mile an hour in a 50-year-old car.
You'd be lucky to go anywhere where you can do that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So the top speed on this now is down at around 95 miles per hour. But the improvement is on acceleration. Of course, the instant torque from the electric drive really makes the difference. So from an acceleration point of view, it is a modern day sports tourer standard. We've not gone crazy with the performance, because if you're going to do that, it's brakes, suspension and lots of other things didn't want to touch. None of that. This car can completely go back the other direction and put the original engine back in it. There's no holes drilled in this car. Everything mounts off of the original engine and transmission points.
Let's talk about the interior, because what's this colour called?
So this is Oxblood. It's Oxblood leather,
Created by Auto Lounge. They've done this fantastic job. Talk us through what we've got inside now.
Yeah, so the colour of the material is very close to what was originally in it. It was a brown interior before. On the Stag it was plastic, basically, so it's now leather. Behind the visor is a screen, all disguised away. Gary at Auto Lounge has done a fantastic job on that in making a new visor for it. And that screen is connected to the communication system around the car, CAN bus system, and that gives me all the parameters on the electric propulsion system, the electric engine, if you like.
And you've redone all the fascia inside the vehicle, haven't you?
To the sense that it's all been refurbished, but looking at it, you would see no different.
And do we have USBs? Have we made it more modern like that? Have we created that idea with it?
Underneath the veneer, in the centre console, is a USB charger. You can't see that. There's no indication. I know where it is. If you put your phone on it, it will start charging. So a kind modification to it. It's nothing you can see, but now you can charge your phone. The radio itself has Bluetooth, phone communications on it, that type of thing. But the radio itself is probably 30 years, maybe 40 years old, but has had the insides removed and new insides
put in. Got some DAB in there.
Yeah, there's DAB on the radio now.
Great, Now, one of the things obviously people complain about removing the engine. We love the engines. Engines are great. Of course they are. This is a different project completely, but that Stag burble that everyone talks about, and even yourself admitted in one of the episodes, what am I going to do about the burble? It's going to go, this is going to be difficult for me. But you've come up with this ingenious idea. What's that? Yeah,
so it has what's known as an electronic exhaust on it. And they're very common in modern cars. You get BMWs and I think some of the Mercedes. They enhance the sound and they go up through the sort of stereo systems. So we've leveraged that system. And we've tried to put the burble back in it.
So we need to have a demonstration of how this is going to work. This is fantastic. So we can hear the burble, which is going to be brilliant.
The nice thing is that you can turn it off. So if you want to, if you're taking a phone call or something like that, you can actually mute that. But for me, it'll be on 99% of the time.
And there we have it. And it's inside, you can really hear that burbling away. I'm hoping at home you can hear the effect of it. And what happens there? How does it work?
So the system is connected to the vehicle control unit, and that is connected, obviously has the throttle input and the load that's on the motor and the inverter. So with all of those signals, it's able to produce the sound, and that works on the accelerator.
So let's have a look what we've got in the boot then, can we?
Sure.
Can go around and see that, how that works.
Yep.
So
this is still a bit of work in progress.
Ah, you can hear that now.
Yeah.
And this is what's creating the sound effect in the back. And you've got a plan for that, haven't you? What are you going to do?
Yeah, so what's supposed to happen is that this is positioned like this and then sealed against this. And then where this reversing light is, there's actually going to be a vent through there. And that'll port the sound out of the back of the car. Hopefully it'll reduce the sound inside the car, because I have to keep it down quite low, otherwise it deafens you in the car at the moment. So they're all projects for the winter that we'll get done.
So Les, the main thing is people want to see what this is like out on the road. Can we get it out on the road?
Yeah, of course.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So this is it, we're out on the road, Les.
Yeah.
And it's lovely, you've got the burble going, which is great.
Yeah.
And you forget it's not got an engine. You forget that, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Pulls away, doesn't it? Really well.
Yeah, it's probably just a bit quicker than the original Stag in terms of pull away.
Yeah.
But let's say we didn't want to make it crazy speeds and that.
Yeah.
So.
That's nice. Really good. Now, Les has promised to answer some difficult questions. So we're going to put some questions to him, and he's promised he's going to answer them. Is that right, Les?
Yeah, I'll answer all questions.
Okay, because obviously some people do get very upset about this, because they say by taking the engine out, you're ripping the heart out of the car. What's your answer to that? Has it lost its soul? Lost its heart?
Well, for me, the car is history. It's my family, and you can't take that away. You know, it's about the experiences in the car. So no, it doesn't. It doesn't for me. No.
Right. Okay. The next question is, obviously people say, well, you know, the trouble is it's not environmentally friendly, because all these batteries end up being chucked away. They don't last very long. What's your thoughts on that?
In this type of application, well, first of all, generally in EVs, batteries are lasting a lot longer than they originally thought, and there's plenty of evidence of that. In this type of application, I would expect these batteries to last 25-30 years.
Right.
And even at the end of that, you know, the battery range will only be down 5-10%. I mean, it's not like a massive, you know, you're talking on something like this, losing 2-3 miles of the ranges.
Yeah.
So they're not issues, to be honest, and it's not really worth worrying about that type of thing. There's plenty of things to worry about. Battery range and battery life is not one of them.
And range obviously is nothing comes up, because people say, oh well, you know, you can't go very far, they've run out of charge, you've got to find a charging port somewhere. But most people don't go that far in a classic car, do they?
No. So you know, we do this as a business as well, so we're finding that when we speak to customers now, we try to persuade them, go for fast charge,
right,
rather than lots and lots of batteries to give yourself 400 miles range. First of all, the batteries are very expensive. They're about 40% of the cost of the conversion. On its own. So, you know, just purely in the cost of the battery modules. So go for fewer battery modules, reduce the cost, reduce the weight of the vehicle, and then spend your money on a fast charge system. So with this car, we can do about 200 miles, stop, and you'll want to stop after 200 miles in a classic car. 40 minutes on fast charge, and you'll have another 200 miles. So that's the strategy I've got in my head, rather than trying to build a vehicle with 300-400 mile range.
Okay. Now the big question that I've been asked a lot by people who watch this channel is, how much is all this costing? Why is he spending all this money on the car? He'll never get that back, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, this was never a project where you were demonstrating how to build an electric Triumph Stag. This was a personal thing like you've talked about before. Yeah. So the answer to that, Les, what is all of this costing? What's your answer to that?
Okay, I mean, that's often asked, and I'll give very straight answers where I can. So the first thing is, let's take the car. There's two bits here. There's the restoration of the car, and then there's the conversion of the EV. The restoration of the car is no different to anybody else restoring a car. It is a load of money, and I honestly can't tell you how much the restoration cost, and I bet I'm no different to 99% of other people who do this type of thing, because I didn't pay for it in one bit. I pay Jason to do some work. I pay him for that month's work. He then does some more work the following month, and there's a different bill. Could I go back and collect them all together? Yeah, probably, but I dare not, because it would scare the life out of me. Yeah. But that is no different to anybody else who's done this type.
Because restorations is a money pit. Anyone who's done one, they know that it's just an ongoing thing. It's like having a house conversion. It goes on and on. It never keeps to the budget. It never does it?
And the only thing for me that drives me on there is the emotional connection to the car. The actual EV conversion, now that I can give you an exact amount for, so that's around £35,000 to take that out. Of course you can mitigate some of that. I've sold a lot of the parts, I've sold the engine, and so that helps a little bit, but you know, we've recently had a guy with an E-Type Jag come in. He's got a V12. He had a quotation for that for £45,000 to rebuild the V12 and the transmission. Well, we can convert it to electric for around that sort of price, you know, on an E-Type. So they're the sort of costs that people are looking at to do this type of conversion. It's not cheap.
And the other thing is, people say, well, the thing is, you know, the cost of living now, electric's expensive. I might just keep my car and have an engine in it, you know, than to convert it, because it costs the same. Is that true? Or is it cheaper still to have electric rather than spend money on petrol?
Well, the first thing I'll say is that's the least of your problems. In running a classic car, you will spend a lot more money. I mean, if you've got a car that's doing 10 miles to the gallon, but you're only doing 1,500, 2,000 miles a year in it, why worry? And it is the same with the electric. What I will say, because I run EVs at home, is I charge at home for 7 pence per kilowatt hour. So even on a large EV, you're talking about filling it up for £10, something like that. You know, so it is still very cheap. If you go on a motorway, I was talking to someone yesterday, they stopped on a motorway to charge up. It was 68 pence per kilowatt hour. But, you know, if you were going on a bit of a journey, would you go and fill up at your local supermarket and avoid the motorway service stations for petrol? Well, yeah, of course you would. And so you do that in an electric car. But in the big scheme of things, not really worth worrying about.
Now, being out in the car though, Les, you know, you've answered those questions. Hopefully that answers a few for people that want to know. But being in the car, what does it feel like for you after all this time?
Yeah, I mean, it's still my car. It's still the Stag. It looks the same. You know, when we get the system sorted out with the electronic lock source, it's going to sound very much the same as well. So for me, that emotional connection's still there. It's still my car, and so I'm really pleased with what we've done. A lot of this has been about legacy and handing it on, and you know, I think my boys will be able to enjoy this car for hopefully the rest of their lives as well.
So you've got this lovely picture of your son Jason as a child sitting on the roof of this car. And like you said, you want this a legacy, you want this as something you can pass on to future generations, in this case being your sons Matthew and Jason.
Yeah.
But something special is happening this very day, isn't it?
Yes, that picture you refer to, he was, 2 years old then, and today he gets married.
Wow.
Actually, yeah, so he doesn't know it yet, but the car's going to go home today,
Yeah.
and we're going to take him to the wedding in it.
Wow, so we need to get booted and suited, right?
We certainly
And
do.
you lot need to stay where you are. Stay tuned, because you're going to be at the wedding. You're going to be there for the surprise. So listen, we better get a move on. Let's go.
Let's go.
Okay, follow me. We're going to surprise him. Let's hope he's in. Should be. It's his wedding day. Is he ready? That's important. Jason!
Hi Adam, what are you doing
Nice
here?
to see you.
Nice to see
I've got a
you.
bit of a surprise for you. You know, we have something special for you on the way to the
Okay.
wedding. We have a special chariot awaits you. Have a look. What do you think?
Oh wow, fantastic! It's
Stag.
finally finished.
That's how you're going to be there. Don't sound so surprised, but we've got a really important question to ask you. Okay?
Okay.
So listen, do you promise to love, honour and forsaking all others, look after this classic car?
I do.
There you have it. Marriage made in heaven. Quick, let's get into the church. Let's go. So there you go, a perfect end to the story. But what do you think of the electric Triumph Stag? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to follow this story from the very beginning, you can check out this playlist. Don't forget to subscribe, and I've got a wedding to go to. I think they've gone without me.